bringing the people behind our food to life.
Every great migration in human history has been about fleeing repression and seeking opportunity. Every great migration in human history has had its own particular version of what the challenges were and the kind of oppression and what the opportunities were as well that presented themselves. And so the African American migration from the South to the West, to the North, to the Midwest had its own particularity to it, but it was fundamentally about escaping repression, a repressive system, and seeking economic opportunity. And economic opportunity was emerging at that time. There was a need for those workers in those places, and so it was that a migration got underway. And it developed critical mass. Critical mass meaning that enough family units, community units, established, reformed in the new location that they became a new demographic reality. And that's exactly what Latino immigration, I think, and Latino migration is all about in this country and in our time. It's lack of opportunity and repression in Latin American countries, but especially lack of opportunity accelerated by NAFTA. So people's ability to sustain themselves even at a subsistence level is way diminished after NAFTA. People therefore having no economic alternative but to come north at great cost and sacrifice. And yes, in many cases violating the law. But again, the reality of human migration has been that when human necessity requires, laws are put aside. And so otherwise law-abiding people, which I think 90+% of undocumented workers are in this country, we're obligated to do that. What we now see is, I believe, an irreversible demographic shift, where there is now critical mass. There are now 425,000 Latinos in Oregon. In 1980, 2 years after I came to Woodburn, there were estimated to be 65,000 Latinos. So 30 years later, we're talking about an increase of more than 600%, six-fold increase, right? Now the population of Oregon has not increased by six-fold in those 30 years. And we now have a reality where 1 out of every 3 children born in Oregon is a Latino. Whereas only 1 out of every 10 or 1 out of every 8 residents of Oregon is a Latino. So what does that tell us about the future, right? And some people are incredibly alarmed about that. People that feel threatened, white people in particular, that feel threatened by the fact that white people may not be a majority in the country, some is projected in a time in the future, or that there's this large increase in a different population. It's a very common American story, a very sad one in my opinion, that people feel that threat. And yet it's also, we've seen a very common American story that large numbers of people come and society goes on and progress is made. So if it were the end of the world as we know it, it seems to me the world would have ended already. I don't see that to be the case here.